just knowing what sun sign you are. Are you an Aries? Are you a Taurus? That tells you the body region, the body zone, one of 12, that your vital force is sort of lodged in or
Mm.
settled. And you should support that. And it's often either a very great strength or a weakness because that's where your vital force is set.
Is it possible that your zodiac sign holds crucial keys to your physical health? Today's guest may just convince you that it's not only possible, but absolutely probable. Joining me on the podcast today is arguably the best medical astrologer alive, Judith Hill. Judith's a chartered herbalist, internationally recognized researcher, and the award winning author of 13 classic astrology books. Judith is also the teacher of our popular medical astrology workshop entitled The 12 Zodiac Signs in Medical Astrology. Today, we're going to explore Judith's bold new theory explaining how and why your planetary birth pattern influences and informs your physical body. Judith's startling observations based on a lifetime of study open a new era for both astrology and alternative medicine. I cannot wait to dive right in. Judith, welcome back to the Astrology Hub podcast. We are so honored to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Amanda. I'm very excited to be here. I just love the hub, and I can't wait to uh, discuss some of these new discoveries.
Yes. Okay. So let's start here. How can it be possible that our zodiac sign influences our physical health, our physical body? Where does that come from? How have you come to this conclusion?
The history of this is very old. Back in our first records of what is called melothesia or body sign relationship comes from between 10 and 30 BCE. And they think it comes way back. There was similar systems we know in 1150 in Egypt. They found records in the tomb of Ramses V, a little different system. So we know it's very, very old. The discovery the ancients made, Amanda, was that the 12 zodiac signs have a direct relationship with 12 horizontal zones in the human body.
Mm. Okay. And how long have you been studying this, and how have you experienced it with the people that you work with?
I've been studying it more decades than would be ladylike to say. But since I was 14, I was always obsessed with how the astrology related to the body. And I started to notice that my clients of certain, particularly sun signs, but the moon and ascendant are important too, had very definite traits over and over and over again, and the same disease problems and personality types, behaviors, and that I would notice in all the old books I was reading, they would notice these same things. And they would have little lists of, diseases they would have. Oh, yeah, here's another Aries with an eruptive condition or a head injury, or here's another Taurus with water bloat. So, I started to study. I've done charts nonstop every day for many, many, many decades. That's what I've done for a living. And I was always observing my clients very, very closely and cataloging a lot of these traits and matching them to tradition. And so I'm the first though to declare that there are 12 distinct zodiac sign syndromes. A syndrome is a collection of symptoms and an actual type. They were typed by were they fire signs, water signs, uh, but not so much as individual full medical complex and why it occurs. That's what I've really gone into in the book, and
Wow.
very original, even though there's definitely many observations through history.
Judith, why or how do you think this works? Like, what is the mechanism behind a correlation between the day, time, and location of your birth? So what your astrology chart is, and your health. How does that actually work? It seems so far fetched for the logical mind to understand. So tell us why you think it actually works.
This came to me in a blinding flash while doing dishes. And if you were to take the zodiac has been known if you cut it like the circle of the tropical signs based on the spring equinox is the starting point. If you were to make a line out of it, ship it, and it becomes the whole human body, 12 zones. Now, if you put the 12 zones around the person like a big tube or a slinky, and you think that there's then 360 degrees going down the body, down the body, and that there are receptor sites for every single planet somehow on either in the fine matter around our body or in our body, just like you have receptor sites all over your body for estrogen, but they'll only pick up that one, the estrogen. So you have, when you're born with Venus, say in Taurus, your Venus receptor sites for that are vibrationally linked to Venus will wake up in your throat region because Taurus rules the throat. That's where Venus will be. So you'll have Venus. All the planets have different kinds of energy. If you have Venus in Taurus, it's softening, might make you a vocal polyp or more mucus in your ears, but you're picking up Venus energy on the receptors that go around. If you had Mars, it's more inflammatory. The Mars receptors in this area then are permanently dancing because you have a permanent planetary record from birth. And if you take this tube and you look down it and collapse it, you've got the perfect horoscope.
Oh my gosh. Judith, I know you have a visual of this in your newest book. Can you share it? Can you show us this
Yeah,
visual of what you're describing? And it's just the way you just described it is so clear and actually quite simple
it's very
and
simple.
it doesn't sound far fetched, actually.
I've got a little series. Can you see this?
Yes. Uh
Okay.
huh.
Here's the human body. Here's the 12 zodiac signs and the 12 zones of the body. And they're taken off the ecliptic plane. Here's the ecliptic plane. You turn it on its side. There's the 12 zodiac signs. There's the human. There's the 12 zones. Okay. That's just your part one. And then you go over here. And this is a little harder to see. Let's see. And
Yes. Uh huh.
put the planets in their zones like that. You sort of space them a little because the signs are 30 degrees apart going down the tube. And there's another picture that shows it a little different there.
So, based on your chart, you would put the planets in the different zones.
And their signs and their degrees. And then what happens? This is the fun part, and it's so easy. So there's your chart. There's your chart. And there's the tube with the planets now inserted where they are on the degrees. And, you have to pretend there's 360 degrees, but I've got just the 12 signs here. So I have, there's the sun. I can't see it, but it's in a sign.
Uh
And
huh.
look
Yeah.
over. And,
Okay.
and so there, if you were to look through this tube from the top and collapse it, you get the horoscope.
Amazing. Okay. That is incredible. Wow. And have you run these ideas by doctors, scientists, engineers? Like, is anybody corroborating this with you?
I have a friend who's a neurologist and an osteopath, and he has so many degrees. He says he papers his wall with them. He wrote the back of the book, and he thought it was absolutely ingenious and fascinating. And then I have a student who is an engineer of some kind. I think he's an electrical engineer.
Mm.
I forget what he does, but he said, and he's very brilliant. He said it was the best explanation he had ever seen. But it's very, very much more developed that you have to read because these receptors for the planets are vibrational. They are, and so, but everything in nature repeats itself. So in nature, we have the lock and key with all the receptor sites for various hormones. They're all through the body, and male and female. So you must have some kind of receptor sites for planetary energy. And, one old idea by C.C. Zane was that we had an antenna that was somehow set up in the body part that the sign would be in at birth, and it was, but that's part of it, but it doesn't explain everything. So I took like 5 different ideas that I from other people, and all the puzzle pieces came together with the idea of receptor sites for hormones, becoming
Makes
receptor sites. Yeah, yeah,
it
that
makes
we
so much sense, Judith. It's brilliant. Wow. Okay, so I know that you and so this is basically based on the 12 zodiac signs. And s- and I know that you also have a part of your theory that the signs aren't like these distinct phases, but they are continuous on a wheel. So can you explain to us what that means and why it matters in this conversation?
runners a lot. So we tend to think of Taurus as Taurus,
Right.
as Leo, but really they're a phase state in a wheel. And the wheel, you think of a pendulum. When a pendulum starts swinging, it has several steps it goes through. So everything, including the circle of the zodiac, is done on a circle. Everything is moving in circles and cycles. Everything has a cycle. Even your breathing is a cycle. So when you start swinging the pendulum, it goes 180 degrees, it pauses, it looks back, then it swings back. So as far as the zodiac motion of the circle going around of the 12 signs, think of Aries as the start point of a pendulum. Aries is, this is all from Arthur Young's ideas. Aries is uh, acceleration, start point. Boom. So it goes around, it comes up, and it stops and pauses and looks back at Libra, the sign of rest, balancing, weighing, non action, reason. Then it has to swing back. And so you think of a whole circle, and we just talked about Aries and Libra, 2 phases of 12 phases. Every single sign has part of a phase angle. It's moving. So the problem here is that when we think of a sign, we think of its care. Like Leo is, very strong and confident. We don't think that Leo is strong and confident because 3 angles are missing. It's called averted. It can't see these angles, and they're the weak sides. They're the weak little sensitive sides. So Leos may be very uncomfortable with showing emotional receptivity or sensitivity. Uh, they may be uncomfortable with convalescing in bed, which Pisces is real good at. Loves to sleep. So we think only of the signs. You can't think only of the sign. You have to think of the signs when we're talking about a syndrome that are non-represented or missing or weak or sleeping at that phase angle. And that's what my whole book goes into in great depth. Um, and so every person has several areas of the body that are potentially weaker and need to be supported.
And do you need to know anything beyond your zodiac sign in order to begin to understand what some of your weak areas might be?
No, this is the simplest part. If you know your sun sign, probably 1 out of every 2 people will have really strong uh, issues related to their sun sign. Many people are in perfect health, but if you know your sun sign and you look at the charts, which I have 12 going through the book, of the weak angles on the cycle. Cycles are circles, circles are cycles on the cycle of the zodiac, the wheel of time, the wheel of the seasons. If you look at the seasons, the seasonal energies that are averted to you, not not really connected with you very well, or the one opposite you in the year, that's the easiest to remember. Those are the ones to strengthen. Those are the bottom
Mhm.
parts to strengthen. So let's take Aquarius. Aquarius is born in the midwinter, and it's opposite Leo, midsummer. So Leo rules the heart and suffers from high blood pressure, red face, a lot of energy, um, gets too hot, diseases of internal heat. Aquarius tends to get a weaker heart, low blood pressure, cold extremities, forgetfulness, fatigue. suboxygenation. So if you're an Aquarius and you're suffering some cold extremities and or you're tired all the time, you have a key here. The heart is at the strongest at the opposite phase of the year. So you want to strengthen your heart always, always strengthen your heart. Whereas in Leo, the heart's too strong. It's too much blood pressure. You want to be careful not to get angry. You want to be careful not to get overheated in the sun. Uh, so it's very useful in this way.
Are there any are there any things that could be happening in your chart to make that not true for you? So for example, if you're an Aquarius and you're like, "No, actually I feel hot all the time," or I don't have those issues. Could there be something else happening in the chart that would give you clues to that?
Oh, Amanda, that is a perfect question because this will happen sometimes. There's exceptions to every rule. Uh, you could be an Aquarius with a Leo rising. You have three centers of life: sun, your main one, moon, and rising. The rising and the sun seem to affect the body most. So you
Mhm.
can use the template for one or the other. You can have, you also could say be an Aquarius with Mars right on your ascendant, because the planets are very strong influences and even stronger than the signs. And so if Mars is actually right on top of you at birth, you're not going to be very Aquarian. Um, so there's always uh, exceptions. Every chart is extremely unique. But this is so common that I had a funny experience. I had, after I wrote the book just last week, I had three dinner guests in a row. One was a Virgo, the next one was an Aries, and the third one was a Gemini. The Virgo comes in, does just what the book describes, pushes his food around on the plate, doesn't finish it, is rather serious, very tidy and well dressed, and discusses his two hernias, which are a Virgo symptom. So he has Virgo syndrome. Okay, then the Aries comes in, suffering from a head injury, just had a hydration treatment with intravenous hydration because they're always getting dehydrated. Very pizzazzy, wearing spike heels, and has just finished having an eruption of poison oak on her face and eyes. Aries rules this area, and suffering from recovery of a head injury. Aries, oh, ravenous, just like I describe in the book. Comes in starving, eats three helpings of everything, eats me out of house and home. We sing, we laugh. She leaves. Aries syndrome. Oh, leave. Okay, then the third one comes in. She's a Gemini, a double Gemini. She immediately piles all her new devices and toys on the table, starts playing me music, gets up and starts showing me Balkan dance steps, chattering constantly and nonstop coughing. It rolls the bronchial tubes, nonstop coughing, nonstop talking, and piling all her new devices of interest on the table. Exactly what I described in the book. So this was Gemini syndrome. For 3 out of 3, perfect. Now you're not going to get that lucky, but you're going to notice that oh, that's so much like my daughter. That's so much like my son. Um, I'd say 1 in every 3 people really resembles the qualities of their sun sign. 1 in every 3 real strong on their ascendant. Even if 1 every 2 maybe for sun and ascendant. Maybe 1 every 2 and 1 every 2 with the moon. And a lot of people are blends, but you do get many perfect types.
Amazing. And what you described in the beginning about the receptor sites really makes sense. So those individuals, the Aries is attuned to the Aries frequency and exhibiting the behaviors and the physical attributes of Aries because she was more tuned to that vibration. Whereas the Virgo was tuned into that channel. Like sometimes I think of them as radio channels. And so he was receiving that Virgo sort of energy and then displaying those qualities and attributes.
Yes, and the signs, one of the most big discoveries and what the book is really going into a lot is the traditional character of the signs is caused by and mirrored by the physical functions and organs related to those signs. And people don't realize that medical astrology was one of the very first uses of astrology. It's gotten kind of lost. So Aries being the brain and the motor systems and the eyes, it's full of energy. They're noted for being impulsive and da 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 da. And even the symbol goes like this for Aries: Big Bang, outward, moving outward from center. Where say Cancer, the symbol is moving inward into the center. Now, why are Cancers noticed to be, you know, they love to journal, they love to listen to poetry and folk music, they love their baby, they like to cook, they're very sensitive. It's the sign that draws towards center. And on the wheel of motion of life, it's where the pendulum reaches a point called velocity. Arthur Young, the physicist, called it velocity at Cancer. You feel velocity. Everything's feel.
What is the word, Judith?
Oh, velocity.
Velocity? Like speed?
Yeah, it starts to gain speed. You feel it. You feel it. And so Cancers are very the feeling sign, personal feeling. So when you talked about the receptor sites, yes, when you're born, you are permanently imprinted with the energy holding forth on your season and date of birth. So I have a name for I don't like to say birth chart. I like to say it's a permanent planetary resonance.
Mm.
You permanently resonate to your season of birth and to the planets in the chart.
Mm.
The book highlights the book. Can I hold up the book?
Yes, please hold up the book. Yes, this is Judith's newest book. Is this book number 13 or book number 14, Judith? 14. Okay. So this is Judith's newest book. You can get this at Barnes and Noble. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it where you buy your books. And we also have a workshop that actually accompanies this book that Judith taught for us. And if you're watching this episode before May 13th, you can participate in, we're doing a flash sale on that workshop. So you can get 33% off that workshop. If you're watching it after May 13th, 2024, you can still get 20% off that workshop. So check the show notes for links to both the book and the workshop. And they really, really work well together. So if you want instruction on how to start applying these things, the workshop's going to be amazing. Judith taught it for us. She's incredible. And the book is going to be that perfect accompany to the workshop. Did you want to say something about that, Judith?
Yeah, I'd written these as a series of essays for classes I had taught in the past. And then when I knew I was going to do the workshop for the hub and Amanda, I added a tremendous amount of material and new chapters and new ideas and illustrations. And I was hoping to have this book ready for that workshop. And we ran into the usual, the ghosting designer and all of this, what we all go through in life.
Yes.
And so it got terribly delayed and it came out now, but it is the companion guide to the workshop, which is called the 12 Zodiac Signs in Medical Astrology, available at the hub. And
Yes.
you get more information on the signs than you will find in any book. And then the book gives a lot of more depth and detail about these medical syndromes and gives a big herbal section on the 12 herbs that treat the syndromes.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay. So, Judith, how does this help people? Like, I understand the ability to sort of describe people, which is fascinating and can be helpful in and of itself. But does this help us avoid certain conditions? Does it help us diagnose certain conditions? Like, how does this actually help us having this understanding or knowledge?
Yeah, well, there's two ways I can think of if we just stick to sun sign. I mean,
Hmm.
medical astrology can be used for everything, including timing surgeries. But if we're just looking at the knowledge of the 12 signs, first of all, we have um, if you know your sign, you know the propensities, and they're matching your symptoms. It gives you quite a window, such as if you're, and it gives you an answer to why. Such as if you are an Aquarius and you're always sleeping with the window open and you don't know why. You just have to have the window open. That's very typical of Aquarians. They'll go to the hotel and sneak out of bed and try to get the windows open or block off
Is
the
it
heat.
also Is it also that they need fans while they sleep? Like
Yeah,
some sort of
fans, or they try to block off the heater while they're sleeping because it's the sign that gets suboxygenated. So if you understand that your Aquarius in the sign midwinter tends to get suboxygenated, there's a reason. Then you start to support your ability to absorb oxygen, and other issues. Another thing we can use it is, say you get three different people in three different signs that are all suffering from excessive sleepiness or fatigue. Now, if you're a Pisces, Pisces naturally sleeps more than other people. You may have nothing wrong with you. The average Pisces I know, people are always complaining that they're sleeping too late, or why are they up all night and not wanting, they don't want to be up in the day, or why are you taking a nap, or get up, sleepyhead. 9 hours is typical. This is normal to Pisceans. They are big. The parasympathetic nervous system is operating overtime for them. Rest and
wow.
relax. Rest and relax. And there's like, and they'll eat a lot. You know, now, if you are a Virgo and you can't sleep, it's due to being the parasympathetic being very wound up, tense. Then you do need some help. But say if you're an Aries who's fatigued, now this is, right away, this is a natural. It's not. And it might be due to adrenal exhaustion. Aries rules the adrenal glands. The
Mhm.
Aries is always producing a little more adrenal response than other people. They often have a quality of being ready to spring, or they in a quick irritation, quick hunger, quick to laugh, and very alert. The adrenal glands are very active in Aries. Now, so you can exhaust your adrenals. Aries can get a dehydrated brain. They can have trouble sleeping because they're just very active. They might not be getting enough exercise.
Mm.
Very different than fatigue for the suboxygenation of Aquarius. Or Aquarius can sometimes suffer from a little weakness in the vital force of the heart. Um, or this just natural sleepiness of Pisces, or the anxiety, and like Virgo is on the we have rest and relax, and then we have Virgo is always on the alert. It's tense, it's always busy, and it governs the sympathetic nervous system and the food, that when the food comes in, okay, I don't want that, I want this. So they have problems associated with a too active sympathetic system. And so you get clues and keys with your sun sign. And also you have what's called a remote causation. Leo, Leo can get a bad heart really easily. And they also can get some swelling or edema. They tend to have on the wheel, one of their weak signs is Pisces, which rules the lymphatic system. So, and if you can get the lymphatic system healthier with a Leo, you can get, the heart working better. So you look at these, these systems that you often see, or, uh, every sign has other signs that are weak, but nobody's looking at them. They're called remote causation. You wouldn't suspect that that's the cause. And
Mm.
you go in and strengthen that a body part, and you will get healthy. Now, I've experimented with this with myself quite a bit, and I've had over three really quite difficult problems in my chronic problems. I've cured them all by using these methods.
And
And
so, Judith, you've talked about the opposing sign. So that's why
Mhm.
you've been talking about Virgo and Pisces, for example, or Aquarius and Leo, for example, because you're talking about the opposing sign. And then you just brought in, what you call it, the remote, what is it?
The remote causation, which is
Remote
caused.
causation. Is that, and that's quincunx to
Yes,
the sign?
yes, all of us have three signs. There's actually four signs quincunx, but only three of them seem to cause trouble. So for every sign has three signs. I have a picture of this in the book. I'll hold it up. Every sign has three signs that are on these averted or quincunx angles to it. And There it is. So here's a good picture of that. So here's,
Hmm.
you see the main sign is where that little black arrow is. And then you see the three where it says one. I'm holding it
Mhm.
upside down. Can you see it? And
No,
then
yeah, no, it's perfect. Hmm.
the sign opposite is number 7. The sign of health and difficulties are um, the 6th and the 8th. I think I was a mistake there. I'm not sure. And then there's in one of the numbers.
No,
Um,
it's great.
okay, then there's the 12th, and that's the sign that's behind you. And you can't see those three, the 8th, the 6th, and the 12th. They're called inverted or in quincunx to the ascendant sign or the sun sign. These are often weak body regions. Every sign rules a body region. The sign opposite you can be very weak and you need to support it. Um, or it can just be one you're always what's called reflexing off of, kind of back and forth. If you have, because you can be born with your opposite sign rising, and
Hmm.
that'll sort of change things. Uh, but I've been just looked at hundreds and thousands of charts, and every chart is unique. So it's always hard to cookbook astrology. But I have been able to carve out these and really put them in and show why 12 zodiac sign syndrome typical. And that helps you understand your type and potentially what might be going wrong in the body. This can be very helpful to people in healing. And many people work with this now with these concepts. If you're treating somebody, if you're treating an Aries, you want to be very, very careful not to direct radiation or very hot energy to their head, because that's the center of Aries vital force is the head. And I've seen what happens when that happens. Um, so your vital force will be within the body part ruled of the sign you're born in. That's where its largest collection is. So your Pisces, your vital force is largely centered in your feet. That's where you're resonating. And it's all of your body, of course. But if you treat, now this I believe is true for all sun signs. Of course, everything's a hypothesis, but
For all sun signs, you said it
just
trailed out a
knowing,
little bit.
just knowing what sun sign you are. Are you an Aries? Are you a Taurus? That tells you the body region, the body zone, one of 12, that your vital force is sort of lodged in or
Mm,
settled. And you should support that. And it's often either a very great strength or a weakness because that's where your vital force is.
mm,
So it's like the heart is the vital force center for the sign. And Leos often have very strong hearts, tremendous energy, but they're very prone to heart diseases.
mm,
You must treat the heart in Leo. That's the vital force center. And then you treat the opposite sign to balance it. The
mm.
circulation under Aquarius. See.
Okay, this is so fascinating, Judith. It seems also like a great way to actually learn about the zodiac signs themselves because you're kind of understanding why, why Aries is hot and sometimes impulsive and quick off the starting block.
Yeah.
And then, associating it with physical parts of the body, but it can also help you have a more holistic understanding of the interpretation of each of the zodiac signs in general.
Oh yeah, and every chapter I begin with a beautiful woodcut and a quote that is perfect for that sign. Like
Mm,
Aries, I put an old Quaker quote: "Have a care, therefore, that you do not have more sail than ballast." Aries are always just going off. Did I even bring a sandwich?
yes.
And so, um, what you said is so accurate, Amanda. With this knowledge, you know the center of your vital force, what body organs, what body parts. You'll be able to see why signs behave certain ways. We're so focused on personality. Why
Right.
is Cancer pouting? Why is the Leo having a tantrum? Why is Sagittarius ghosting on you? That's because Sagittarius is the sign of flight. It governs the flight mechanism. in fight, flight, or freeze. Um, it rules the arterial and rules the lower legs where we run. Um, why this? Why that? So we think so much just of personality. It's all centered in the physical organs and functions of each sign. Signs of physical function.
Wow. Okay, so I know you also talk about something called a dignity profile. What's a dignity profile and how does this enter into the equation? Because I'm also guessing this is maybe a little step above, like you need to have a certain understanding of astrology to start to go into the dignity profiles. But talk to us about this.
Great. The more intermediate astrologers will understand planetary exaltation, detriment. Every sign, every planet has a sign it rules. Every planet has a sign it's exalted in. And then some signs, not all, have a sign that's and fall in it. And then every planet has a detriment somewhere, which is opposite it rules. Now you don't have to have the planets in these signs to have their qualities. All you need to do is be born in that sign, and you get all the qualities inherent in you. I'll give an example of a planet that is in fall in your sign, exaltation in your sign, or
Yeah.
rules your sign. First is Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn, the moon falls or is in detriment in Capricorn. And that means moisture. The moon rules moisture. And it's a little, Capricorns tend to be dry, have dry problems. And Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So Saturn rules the bones and the skeleton and preserves things and maintains things. So Capricorns either are super strong bones and skeleton, or often very like two of the greatest heavyweight boxers ever lived were Capricorns, Muhammad
Wow.
Ali and George Foreman both. Um, it's a sign of density. Or if it goes wrong, they have problems with their joints. They get creaky. They're lacking too much moisture. Without the moon, they get rheumatic. They get these problems. And then Mars is exalted in Cap. Now, you don't have to be a Capricorn with Mars exalted in Capricorn. You already have that trait. It's part of your dignity profile. So Capricorns have a lot of sustained Mars, a lot of ambition. They can keep going forever. You can put them out in the desert and they get lost and they come wandering back in. They survive famines. They have a lot of stamina. But because Mars doesn't do well in an earth sign, Capricorns can suffer from lack of toxins leaving their skins. They can get itchy skin. They can get internal heat building up because it's part of the dignity profile. So every sign will have the qualities of the planets that are said to be in exaltation or rulership and have problems or lack the qualities of the planets that are in fall or detriment. That's
Wow.
their dignity profile. So, Amanda, people are thinking about it opposite. Remember those tests where there'd be a white vase on a black background, and some people would see the white vase, and some people would see instead two faces looking at each other. They're looking.
Yes.
Well, most people just think of planetary dignity as something the planets in the sign at birth. That's causing the dignity. No, all you need to do is be born in the sign. You have the dignity portrait of your planets in exaltation, fall, um, detriment, and rulership. They're part of your package, and they all contribute to, yes, your personality, but also to your physical symptoms. So Capricorn suffers dryness for a number of reasons, and a Pisces is too wet, you know, too wet and lacking dry. So, these are things that if you start seeing someone born in with these qualities, then uh, you treat this energetically. A concept that is very well known in Ayurveda still, used to be known in Western medicine until about 70.
Wow. Okay, to my intermediate students out there, did that just blow your mind a little bit? Because that absolutely blows my mind. Judith, this is truly pioneering, and I can see it really having an impact, especially for anybody that knows anything about astrology or is open a little bit to incorporating astrology into their different kinds of healing modalities or their practices, or even just working with your children and your family alone. You can get so much information, and what I love about this is it's not dependent on a really, really deep understanding of how to read astrology charts, for example. I mean, there's some like foundational things you would need to understand, but with that, it sounds like that could take you pretty far in terms of being able to understand what's going on with your body or the body of people that you love, at least to experiment with some things and not experiment with other things. Like you said, with the Aries, you don't want to put that heat on the head, for example.
Yeah. I think in the hub class, the name, the 12 zodiac signs in medical astrology, the class, I think it may go into the dignity portrait a little bit. It goes pretty detailed into each sign. And I then write up a little of the dignity portrait in the book. It's really just
Wow.
a whole other book, but I did include it for all the signs, the dignity portraits, and how they contribute to the syndrome. But I do think we talked about it a little. Uh,
At the workshop. Good. Okay. Well, anybody out there, if you want to take the workshop, we're going to put that link in the show notes. You can use your discount code depending on when you're watching this episode. Hopefully, you're catching it before May 13th because you're going to get 33% off that class. If you're watching it later, you're still going to get 20% off that workshop. And then go get the book, because this to me is something that we can have on our shelves forever to consult with when things that come up in our lives, and to be proactive with, so that we don't have to have things come up in our lives. This is a way that we can mitigate some of the health uh, potentials in our life, right?
Yes, and one other thing, both my editors felt that the book is fascinating for even non-medically interested astrologers because it gives an entirely new approach to the 12 signs. So if you're
Mhm.
hungry for depth and more information on the zodiac signs, every page is filled with meat. It's got a lot, a whole different approach. And it's really, we do need to learn about the real physical functions of each sign to understand their character. So if you have an overactive fire sign kid or a ADHD Gemini kid, you will understand why. What's the physical thing going on behind there?
Mm.
And or the Cancer kid who doesn't want to leave the house or wants to eat the same thing every day or something. So, you have it explains how all this is intertwined with the psychology of the type.
Mm. Judith, this feels to me like both old and new at the same time. It's like some of the wisdom, I'm sure, that has been that we used to be aware of, that has been lost. So
Mm.
you are truly a gift. You are truly a legend in this field of astrology, and I'm so grateful that you have committed your life to these studies, to the research, to the writing, to the teaching, to the experimentation. Thank you, because you're bringing forward so many gems that will impact so many lives. So, Judith, thank you very much for just being amazing, because you really are.
They're verklempt. Thank you so much, Amanda. I appreciate that, and I really did dedicate my life to this. So
I know that.
you noticed.
Yeah, you live and breathe it, and you have been for, I love how you said, longer than it's ladylike to admit. That's the cutest thing. So, to everybody out there, go check out that workshop, get Judith's book.
We should mention, Amanda, that both the class and the book are very useful and fascinating for beginners,
Mm,
lay people,
yes,
intermediate, and advanced. Plenty of new information for advanced and the absolute beginner as well.
amazing. Okay. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Judith, thank you again for being here. You are amazing. And to all of you, thank you so much for being a part of our community, for making astrology a part of your life. We love exploring the cosmos with you. Thank you for your interest and your curiosity. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care.